Hey guys, everyone meet Hunter. So Hunter's been in the Tour Proven program and he's just wrapping his time up with me. And we're just excited to share his story. When he came to me, he was shooting in the high 90s to anywhere into the low 100s. And his most recent score was an 86. And he would tell you that he didn't play that well because he still had four balls OB off of the tee. So we're going to dive in and ask him a couple questions on how his experience was in the program. So Hunter, what were you struggling with in your golf swing before joining the Tour Proven Pathway program?
Yeah, so a couple of the biggest things that I struggle with, for one was just hitting, the ball solid, just having solid contact, which led to a lot of mishits, a lot of, balls that were either hit fat, hit thin, and then, so that would obviously relate to losing some yardage or hitting a ball, out of bounds, even with, an iron or a wedge. So definitely ball contact is what I struggled with. And then on top of that, having a consistent ball flight, I would say is another thing too, not knowing if I'm going to step up there and hit somewhat of a draw to the left or hit one down the middle or even hit one, 30 yards OB to the right. So I think those two things are probably the biggest, consistent ball flight and then just consistent contact with the ball too.
Yeah, no, initially you didn't know if you were going to hit a fat shot, a thin shot, and you really didn't know directionally where it was going to go. But the unfortunate part was you had no answers to why, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so what were some of the initial things we were able to help you with to get started on the right direction?
I would say one of the biggest things is probably just structure of the swing itself. I think the biggest thing that we worked on from the beginning was making sure I had enough hinge in the backswing. And I feel like that kind of set the tone for the structure of especially my upper body and my arms, through, again, the backswing, creating that hinge earlier on and that structure to the top of the backswing. And then obviously, forward was a huge benefit. And then for the lower body, the same thing with structure, being my trail leg had some issues where it broke down too soon in the swing. So overall structure, I think having the hinging sooner and then having the lower body with the trail leg, having structure was a big thing.
100%. And knowing that this was all delivered to you in an online model, how effective was the communication for you?
Excellent. The thing about your program that I love so much is the more work that I can put in, you're right there every step of the way, whether, I send it to you daily or I send it to you once a week. You're always, whether I've had responses within a few minutes, and no longer than, early the next morning, if I send it late one night. So the communication is on point, and that's really where I think by me putting in a lot of hard work, almost daily in some weeks, and then you having quick responses and feedback, it's great.
What was the biggest accomplishment or breakthrough you had or achieved during the Tour Proven Pathway program?
So I think, obviously shaving strokes, I shaved probably at least 10 strokes off my game so far. And that occurred in, a matter of, 3 to 4 months. I think we're pushing 5 now, but still that's incredible. Being able to do it in my backyard with just a net and, I never actually even hit a real golf ball. I would actually use just like the Nerf foam balls. And even some days I wouldn't even use a ball at all. I would just use my club and just hit those checkpoints in the swing that, you would give me feedback on. And that's all I would need to actually go through, a quick 30-minute session every day. And just, like I said, sometimes it would either be with the foam balls or no ball at all. But anyway, having that online experience and being able to do it in my backyard as opposed to even going to the course or going to the range, didn't have to do that. So the simplicity of it is just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's super convenient when you can work on your swing from anywhere. So you really took advantage of that, and I was proud of you for it. Why did you almost not join the program?
It kind of goes back to that same point I just made, my thought process going into it, initially was, well, I'm gonna have to go to the range to actually put in the time. And, another part of that too is I've had other, golf coaches or swing coaches in the past, 2 or 3 different guys. And I wasn't a huge fan of the progress that I made after I worked with him. So with that said, when I saw your program, the big benefit was being able to work in the backyard, work on my own time when I want to, not have to go to the range or go to the course to put in, the practice time. So the big, I guess the big thing that I was concerned with was the format in which I was going to take these lessons. But with your online program, that solves all the hesitation that I had, initially.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who is on the fence, thinking about joining this program, but still having doubts, worries, or fears about making the investment?
I would say that as long as you're willing to put in the work and the time, whether again that be, 3 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever, as long as you're willing to put in the time, you're almost guaranteed great results. I mean, there's almost a guarantee that there's no way you could not benefit from it, if I could put it in that terms. I think the biggest thing is just you got to put in the work, and as long as you do, Andrew's going to be there for you, give you great feedback, quick feedback too. Just do it, go for it. It's well worth it.
Hunter, I've got one last question for you. I appreciate that. But the most important thing for me is making sure you can enjoy this game for a lifetime. So now that our time is wrapping up and we're going to be done together, what would you say to someone who, how do you feel as a golfer prepared to get better beyond this program?
So one of the biggest things too that I really haven't mentioned yet is the knowledge of knowing how the swing works and where, certain positions your body should be in, or a lot of key terms that you'll see that thrown around a lot, like lag, like shaft lean impact. Some of those terms, while some are very straightforward, other ones you might not necessarily know or have a good concept of. But after taking your program, I really gained a lot of knowledge of not only how I can get better at golf or shave strokes, but also how the swing works and the mechanics behind it. So that knowledge alone, let alone shaving 10 strokes off, that knowledge of how the swing works is super beneficial too. And I can use that going forward to practice at home. Whether I'm in your program or not, I can use that knowledge to hopefully better my swing even more.
Well, Hunter, thank you for taking the time to share your story. Obviously, most people would love to shave 10 strokes just like you, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.